Hi everyone, my name is Sam and this is an all levels Vinyasa flow. You're at home right now so I can't see you. Make sure to modify poses if you need to modify. Generally, the more that I cue, the harder everything gets. So find a pose that works for you, that's challenging and that you can hold for a little while and then stay there. You can always back out of a pose as well. Also, I really encourage you to find a playlist that you want to put on in the background of this. I can't record music at the same time because it doesn't sound that good, but take a moment, put on your favorite Spotify playlist, and let's begin. All right, we'll start on our back. So come down into a reclined position. Knees bent, feet wider than your hips. Let your thighs rest on one another at the center. Lengthen the back side of your neck and either have your palms up by your sides or hands on your belly. Once you get there, close your eyes. And then relax your shoulders and hips. Let your arms get heavy. And relax the muscles in your face. Bring your attention to your breath and take full, easy breaths. Let go of anything that you've already done today or any plans you have for the rest of the day or week. You just need to be right here, right now, nowhere else. And with an inhale, reach your arms up overhead, stretch your legs long, eyes are closed, point through your toes, spread your fingers wide, maybe arch your back. And then keep your eyes closed, curl your knees in towards your armpits, grab the front of your shins, and lower your tailbone closer to the mat. If it feels good, you can rock from side to side. And then open your eyes, take your arms wide, palms face up. You can have your elbows bent or arms straight. Bring your knees over your hips and flex your toes towards your face. So your knees are at a 90-degree angle. And then press down through the backs of your shoulders and arms and hands. And curl in your low belly so you're pressing your low spine down towards the mat. Lower your knees to the right side, but let them hover over the floor so you're not lowering the knees all the way down. And then bring them back up. Over to the left. And up. To the right. Center. And left. Center. And right. Stay here. Hover your knees over the floor. Try to keep the back of your left shoulder down on your mat. And then bring it back up. Over to the left, hover. Try to keep the back of the right shoulder on the mat this time. And then come back up. Stretch your toes towards the ceiling. Reach your arms up overhead. So point your toes and then flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. This time point and then circle. Switch the direction of your circle. It's okay if your knees are bent here too. And then flex your toes towards your face, ankles over your hips. So So if you need to bend your knees, that's okay. With your feet flexed, reach your arms up and curl your shoulders away from the mat. So press down through your low belly, you're curling up and in. And then left hand to right toes, right hand to left toes. And switch to the right and left. If you can easily reach the foot, you'll go back and forth here, but try to tap the inside of your wrist with your big toe. Keep going. And then one more round, end with the right hand to the left foot, come back to center. Knees to your chest, wrap your arms around your legs, give yourself a squeeze, and curl your chin in towards your chest. Hands behind your thighs, cross at the ankles, and rock up to a seat. All right, once you're up to a seat, just a comfortable seat, and you can sit on a pillow or something like that if you need to lift yourself further away from the mat. Once you're here, look down at the mat, let your head get heavy between your shoulders and rock from side to side in the front. Your chin stays pointed in towards the center of your chest while you rock your head from side to side. The next time you get to the center, stay there. Interlace both hands behind your head and draw your elbows towards one another. Spread your shoulder blades behind you. And then for a deeper stretch, you're not pressing down through the hands, just adding extra weight. For a deeper stretch, you'll lift the space where your neck meets your shoulders up towards the ceiling. And then release your hands, look up at the ceiling, and rock your head from side to side in the back. Come back to center, bring your chin to neutral, and then make fists with your hands, circle at the wrists. And switch direction. And then flick your fingers forward, spread them out wide. And then left palm faces the ceiling. Grab your fingers with your right hand and draw them in. You want a stretch on your palm and the inside of your wrist. No sharp pain though. If you feel sharp pain here, back away from that. And then switch, right palm up, right fingers in. And then release. Come on to all fours. So wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Spread your fingers evenly. I like to line my wrist creases up so that they're parallel with the front edge of the mat. And grip the mat with all 10 fingerprints. Press down through the base of your index fingers and thumbs. So you've got a really strong grip on the mat. Shift your weight to your left leg. Point your right toes back behind you. Keep your hips level. Engage your low belly. And to go further, weight to your right hand. Send your left arm forward. Press down through your right hand, inhale. Lift your leg and your arm, look up. Exhale, round your spine, curl your elbow and knee in towards one another. Inhale, lift up, look up. Exhale, curl. Lift. And curl. Lift. And curl. Come back. neutral. Lower your left hand down. Take your right toes out to the left side. Tuck your toes under. And then left foot out to the left side. So it's in line with your knee. Right arm sweeps up and overhead. Lift your right side rib cage towards the ceiling. Let your left ear drop towards your left shoulder. You're looking for a long side bend on the right side. And then lower your right hand down to the mat. Square your hips. Step back, high plank. So your high plank can be on your toes or your knees. Either one. Press down to your hands. Lift the space between your shoulder blades. With your inhale, shift your weight to your hands so you'll lean forward a bit. Exhale, bend your elbows straight back. Pause halfway. Inhale here. Exhale all the way down. Point your toes back behind you. Press down through the tops of your feet. Use your glutes. Press your pubic bone down into the mat. And without actually using your hands, peel your upper body away from the mat. So you can lift your hands away from the mat if you need to. On your next inhale, keep your backside engaged, but press down and forward through your hands. Lift your chest up, widen your collarbones, let your head drop back. Cobra. With an exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes under, inhale, push up, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hips go up and back. If you can, lower your heels down, but it's okay if your heels stay lifted and your knees are bent. Tilt your tailbone high, ears between your biceps, slide your shoulder blades onto your back, widen your collarbones. Your gaze is down at the mat or back at your toes. Shift your weight to your left foot, right leg high. Exhale, step your right foot forward. Come onto your fingertips, drop your left knee down. There's no weight in your left knee. You're just lowering it, look up. And then step forward for a forward fold. Feet are hip width distance, knees can be bent, round forward. Your next inhale, halfway lift. So you're coming into a 90-degree angle. You want to reach the crown of your head and your tailbone in opposite directions. Fingers come in towards your shins or reach down towards the mat. Fold. Bend your knees, inhale, round up. When you get to the top, arms up. Squeeze your glutes, press your hips forward, lift your chest, reach back. Exhale, hands to your heart. Come back up. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Palms down, come back to all fours. So square your hips and your shoulders. This time, point your left toes back behind you. Reach your right arm forward. With an inhale, use your left glute. Look up, lift. Exhale, curl. Inhale, lift. And curl. Lift. And curl. Lift. And curl. Come back to neutral, so arm and leg are in line with your shoulder and hip. Lower your right hand down. Take your left foot out to the right side. Tuck your toes under. Right toes turn out to the right side. Weight goes into your right hand. Sweep your left arm up and then overhead. Press down through your right hand. Lift your left side rib cage. Make your left side as long as you possibly can, from your left ankle all the way to your fingertips. Lower your left hand back down, square your hips, step back, high plank. weight to your hands. Exhale, lower halfway. Pause. Inhale, hug your elbows in. Exhale all the way down. Point your toes back behind you. Last time we did Cobra or Bhujangasana. This time is upward facing dog. So press down firmly through the tops of your feet and then press down through your hands. Lift your hips and your thighs off of the mat. You might walk your feet in a little. And then draw your hips in towards the insides of your wrists. Lift your chest up, widen your collarbones, let your head drop back. Use your low belly muscles to lift your pubic bone towards your belly button. And then exhale to lower down. Tuck your toes under. Inhale, push up, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment. And then weight to your right foot. Left leg lifts up high. Three-legged dog. With an exhale, round your spine. Step your left foot forward. Lower your right knee down so it's barely touching the mat. Come onto your fingertips. Lift your chest up, look up. And then forward fold. Step your right foot in, fold, halfway lift, fold, put a bend in your knees, inhale to round up. Arms come up, reach your hands up and back, press your hips forward, lift your chest up, standing back bend. Bring your hands to your heart. Pause, take a full round of breath. And then inhale, arms up. This time exhale, hands out wide. So you've got an L shape with your fingers, thumb and index finger on both hands. Elbows are wide and bend, hug your elbows down towards your sides. Put a bend in your knees, shift your weight to your left foot, and then hug your right heel in towards your glute. Start to tip forward, so you're pressing the right foot up towards the ceiling at the same time as hugging the heel in. Widen your collarbones. And then hands to your hips, step your right foot back, come into a high lunge. So your feet are at least hip width distance here. They're not lined up. You're on the ball of the back foot. And then square your hips. So right hip forward, left hip back. Bend into the front knee. If this is really difficult, take a shorter stance. It doesn't have to be so long. And then arms out wide. Make fists with your hands. And draw your pinky fingers in towards one another. Squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. Lift your chest, look up towards the top edge of your room. Press down through the ball of the back foot to lift the heel higher, and then reach the heel back behind you to set your hips lower. Your front leg should be getting very warm by now. And then lower your hands to your hips. Right knee goes down to the mat. Keep your back toes tucked under and hug your front heel and your back knee towards one another using half of your effort, 50%. Keep that engagement and let your hips sink a little lower. Now you have options. You can stay here like this, or you can bring left hand to left hip. Right arm goes up into the air, bicep by your ear, look over your left shoulder. Lower both hands down to the ground, so fingertips down. Lift your hips up and step your back foot in so that your feet are pointed forward, your back heel can lower down and round up. Straighten both legs, and we'll square our hips to the front of the mat again. So right hip forward, left hip back, hands on your hips. Lift your chest up, puff it up like you're, I don't know, a pigeon or something. And then keep your collarbones wide, your gaze up, lean forward halfway. So you're leaning forward with your belly button leading. That's the lowest part of your torso. You should already feel a stretch on the back of the left leg. From here, round forward. Bring your hands down to the floor. If you have something to place under your hands, I saw someone using tomato cans as yoga blocks. I think that's a great idea. Just something to lift you away from the ground. Or you can always bend the front knee a little. If you can bring your palms down, line your fingerprints up with your toes, bend your elbows straight back behind you. Reach the top of your head towards the front edge of the mat. Relax the back of the left leg. Come up onto your fingertips, bend your front knee, reach your hands forward, and hug your right knee in towards your chest. Round up with the right knee lifted. Whoop. So we're here. And then elbows out wide, palms face forward, twist to the right towards the bent knee. You have options here. One is to stay like this. The other is to bring your right hand to your hip or reach it back behind you. And next, left hand to the outside of the right knee or the outside edge of the foot. If you grab your foot, maybe think about extending your leg. And to test your balance even more, look over your right thumb. And then undo it all. So bend the front knee, bend both elbows, turn to face forward, lower your right foot down, inhale, arms up. Press your hips forward, standing back bend, exhale, fold. Halfway lift, palms down, lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, exhale all the way down. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. On your next exhale, engage your low belly muscles. Lift your hips straight up and back. Flip your feet over at the end, downward facing dog. Take a breath. And then lift your heels, bend your knees, step or hop, forward fold. Halfway lift, and fold, rise. Elbows out wide. Bring your middle ring and pinky fingers down towards your palm. Make L shapes with both index fingers and thumbs. And then draw your elbows down to your sides so you can feel these side body muscles, your lats, pull in. Bend your knees, weight to your right foot, left heel comes in towards your left glute. You've got a little bend in your right knee, your standing knee, and you'll start to tip forward just enough so that you can lift your left foot up towards the ceiling. From here, hands to your hips, step back into a high lunge. So your right knee is bent, you're on the ball of the back foot, left hip comes forward, right sit bone back to square your hips with the front edge of your mat. Bring your arms out wide, make fists with your hands and draw your pinky fingers in towards one another behind you, like they were going to touch. Squeeze your shoulder blades together in the back and keep your shoulders down away from your ears so they're not coming up like this. They stay down. Press down through the ball of your back foot, lift your heel, and then reach it back behind you so that your hips lower even more. Soften your gaze and the muscles in your face, and try to steady your breath. Bring your hands to your hips. Slowly lower your back knee down. Keep your back toes tucked under and draw your front heel and your back knee towards one another. Then, with that engagement there, lower your hips towards your front heel, but you still want strong legs. We'll do another round of this pose on Vinyasa or crescent lunge, where it's a little more passive. So you have options. Hands can stay on your hips, or right hand to your hip, left arm reaches up high. Look over your right shoulder and reach your left hand up and back. Turn to face forward, lower both hands down to the mat, lift your back hips up and slide your left foot in. So you can lower your heel down, round up. Parsvattanasana, I love this stretch. So hips squared to the front edge of your mat, left hip forward, right hip back, and then hands on your hips, puff your chest up and lead the fold with your belly button. So your belly button lowers down towards the mat. You're only folding halfway. It's like you're hovering over the mat. And then keep this tilt of your pelvis. That's why we lower the belly button first, so that your hip points in the front will tilt down. And then round forward. Bring your hands down to your blocks or your makeshift blocks or the floor. If you can, palms down, fingerprints in line with your toes. Bend your elbows straight back and reach the top of your head towards the front edge of the mat. Relax the back of the right leg, and while you're reaching the top of your head towards the front edge of the mat, you're still reaching this right sit bone towards the wall behind you. So you're going in two different directions. Put a bend in your right knee, reach your hands forward, hug your left thigh in towards your chest, and round up with the left knee lifted. Palms face forward. All right, bring your arms up, elbows bent, and then turn to the left. Next step, either left hand back behind you or to your hip. Right hand to the outside of the left knee or foot. If you grab hold of the foot, you can kick your foot forward. You can also look over your left thumb. And then come back. So you'll bend the knee, elbows out, turn to face forward, lower the left foot down, inhale, arms up, standing back bend. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift, palms down, step back, high plank. Inhale, weight to your hands. Exhale, lower halfway. This time, inhale, drop your hips straight into up dog or cobra. And then exhale, tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Stay here. Lift your right leg high, use your right glute, three-legged dog. So we've already done some stretching on the back of the left leg and the front of the right thigh. Keep your hips level. And then scorpion dog. So stack your right hip over your left, reach your toes towards the ceiling, and then bend your knee behind you. Try to keep your shoulders level. They'll twist some. You're lifting your right knee away from your left heel. Come back to three-legged dog. Step your right foot forward and lower your back knee down. Untuck your back toes. So second set of Anjaneyasana, or the crescent lunge. This time, you'll press down through the front foot and hug in the back knee using 20% of your effort. It's a very little amount of effort. And then drop your hips down and forward towards your front heel. Now, if you get into this shape and it starts to look like this, where your heel is closer to your sit bone than your knee, then I want you to walk your front foot forward, lift your hips up, and just sink down as far as you can with keeping the heel underneath the knee, or at least close to underneath it. Now you have options. One is to stay here. The other is to lift the left arm high, look over the right shoulder again, or maybe lower the right hand down behind you and lift up and back. The primary goal of this stretch is to get to stretch the front of the left hip. So that's what you want to feel. As long as you feel a stretch there, you're doing it correct. And then come back to facing forward, lower your hands down, walk your hands back and straighten the front leg. Now, I've said this before, but you can have your arm on a couch, like you could lean onto a couch, or use your yoga blocks if you have a yoga block or some sort of box or something to stack. But keep your hips over your left knee. So my back knee is at a 90-degree angle. I am not sitting back like this onto my back heel because, well, you lose so much of the stretch. So don't do that to yourself. You can always bend this front knee if you need to and have your blocks and everything. But same as before, relax the back of the front leg. If you can bring your palms down, see if you can walk your fingerprints in line with your heel. Maybe bend your elbows back and fold all the way. And then bend into the front knee. Reach your fingertips forward. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your hips. Step your left foot in. I'm going to cue an arm balance. You don't have to do the arm balance. You're in a squat already, so you can stay in the squat. Wrists are in front of your shoulders and your hands are shoulder width distance. Grip them out with your fingerprints. Lift your heels. We're doing crow, by the way. Bend your elbows in towards your shins and look forward. Now from here, if you want to put the weight on your hands, you'll bring your knees to the backs of your arms. This will put the weight on your hands. You want your elbows to bend to a 90-degree angle and then lift one foot at a time. When you're ready, step back or jump back to chaturanga. So elbows are bent when you land. Move through your vinyasa, up dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, weight to your right foot, lift your left leg high, three-legged dog. Embrace the stretch on the back of the right leg. Use your left glute. And then scorpion dog. Stack your left hip over your right, lift your toes up towards the ceiling, and then bend your knee. Level your shoulders as much as you can, and lift your left knee away from your right heel. Come back to three-legged dog. Step your left foot forward, lower the right knee down, untuck your toes, and come up. And remember, we're looking for more of a passive stretch than an active stretch here. So you're only using about 20% of your effort to press down and pull in through the front heel. Lower your hips down. Hands can be on your hips. You can have your right arm high, look over your left shoulder, or lower your left fingertips down behind you. Come back to facing forward, lower your hands down, walk them back. So hip is over your knee. You're not sitting back towards your heel. I know it's much more comfortable to sit back towards your heel, but that's not the point of this. It is not to be comfortable. It's to be very uncomfortable. So you can have your hands on your blocks or on your couch, wherever you need to put them. Relax the back of the left leg. If you can, palms down, fingerprints in line with your heel. Bend your elbows straight back, fold forward. And then bend your front knee. Reach your fingertips forward, tuck your back toes under, and step your right foot in. Second and last set of crow or bakasana. So bend your knees deeply, palms down. Your wrists are in front of your shoulders here. You want room between your hands and the rest of your body so you can bring your knees to the backs of your arms. Lift your heels, grip the mat with your hands. Knees to the backs of your arms to put the weight on your hands. Look forward, lean forward. Lift one foot at a time. You can also do this with your head touching your couch, which helps you from falling on your face. That's nice. And for the jump back, you'll bend your elbows deeply, lean your face forward, shoot your feet straight back, land with bent elbows. Move through your vinyasa. Up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, see if you can go deeper than you did at the beginning of class. We've stretched quite a bit. Maybe your heels go closer to the mat or your knees are a little straighter. Tilt your tailbone up high, slide your shoulders onto your back, widen your collarbones. Lower your knees down to the mat. Untuck your toes. Keep your hips over your knees and walk your hands forward. Either bring your forehead down to the mat, or if that's pretty easy, chin down to the mat. Imagine you could get your armpits and your chest and the front of your neck all on the mat at the same time. Walk your hands back in. Come down onto your belly. This time, right hand out to the right side. Walk your hand up to eye level. Press down through your left palm and roll to the right. Stop if you find any spot that feels painful. You don't want pain. If there's no weight in your left hand, reach it up and back. Or bend your left knee and lower the bottom of your foot down. If you've got really flexible shoulders, maybe lower the bottom of your right foot down and see if you can bring the back of your hips down to the mat. Your head's kind of awkward here. You can either let it droop down to the mat or look up and over your left shoulder. If your knees are bent, send your legs long. Lower your left palm down to the mat and put your weight in your left hand as you roll back to center. Give yourself a moment. And then we'll switch. Right hand underneath your right shoulder, left hand out to the side. Press down through the right palm, roll to the left. And this side might be different, so treat it as its own side. If there's no weight in your right hand, reach it up and back. You can also bend your right knee, maybe even your left. And then send your legs long if your knees are bent. Right palm down. Shift your weight to your right hand as you roll back to center. Pause. Both palms down, press up to all fours. Walk your knees in, cross your legs, and come down to a seat. From your seat, you'll have your knees bent out in front. Bring your hands behind your back so that there's space between you and your knees. And then left ankle to the top of the right thigh. So if this is too deep for either your knee or your hip, if it's too deep of a stretch, you can always straighten this bottom leg and sit up and practice folding forward over your leg. If this is okay, the figure 4 shape, you'll walk your hands and your bottom foot down or in. So you're sandwiching yourself here. And then if you still want more here, then you'll flex your left foot, press your ankle into your thigh, and draw your left knee away from your shoulder. Lift your chest up. Try to touch the inside of your right thigh with your belly button. And then walk it back out. We'll switch. So right ankle to the top of the left thigh, left knee goes down, goes away from your right shoulder. You can always lower this left knee down if you need to. And then for a deeper stretch, walk it all in. And even more, flex your right foot, press your ankle into your thigh, and draw your right knee away from your right shoulder. Lift your chest up, see if you can touch the inside of your left thigh with your belly button. So you're sitting up really tall if you're trying to make this stretch even deeper. And then walk it back out. I like this stretch as a beginner and all levels stretch under your legs. For pigeon, it's a replacement for pigeon. If you're familiar with pigeon, you are kind of crushing your front knee down into the ground using gravity. And this way you get more control over what happens to your bent knee. Anyway, reach your arms forward and roll down onto your back, one vertebra at a time. Bring your palms down by your sides and walk your heels in towards your glutes. Feet and knees are hip width distance. Use your glutes, lift your hips up. Bridge. So to go into a deeper bridge, you'll shift your weight to one shoulder, tuck the other underneath you, and then do the same with the other shoulder. Make fist with your hands and press that fist down into the mat. Lift your chest up even higher. Press down and forward through your heels. Lift your hips even higher. And maybe if they're really close already, you could walk your heels in and grab the outsides of your ankles with your hands. Reach your tailbone to that space between your knees. Keep using your glutes. They should be fiery. One more big inhale, like you're a balloon. Lift up. And then exhale. Unwind. Lower it all back down slowly. Take a breath. And then we're going to go into plow. So if you took my live classes, you'll know that I like the very ungraceful way of getting into plow by just rocking my feet overhead. So palms are down by your side. Once your feet are overhead, you can bring your hands to your back. It's okay if your feet don't touch the ground overhead. And you wouldn't want to do this if you have a neck injury of some sort. You don't want any kind of pain in your neck, or any kind of pain at all, really. Discomfort is okay when you're stretching, but not pain. And if you can, bend your knees. And then hug your knees in towards your chest as you slowly lower back down. Send your legs long, toes flop out, palms up by your sides. Close your eyes. Relax the muscles in your face. Relax your shoulders and your arms, your hands, your hips, thighs, legs, and feet. Let your belly move with your breath. And let gravity hold the weight of your body, so you don't have to hold on to any of the weight right now. Bring your attention to your breathing. By paying attention to your breath, you're stepping away from your thoughts and your sensory input. And then gradually let the attention of your breath fall away. So you're just watching yourself as an observer on your mat. Just let yourself be the way you are right now. You don't need any kind of mental input. You're just being. And without any kind of thought, I want you to feel a sense of love and compassion and kindness for the person that you are on your mat right now, as you are right now. I want you to remind yourself of how amazing that person is, how much effort that you've put in to be this person today. And I want you to thank yourself for being that person. Whenever you're ready, you can get up. I do encourage you to stay here in a quiet space as long as you can. I know that that's not always accessible for all of us. I do really appreciate your support and you inviting me into your life in this way. And I hope that some part of your day has improved by practicing with me. Enjoy the rest of it, and namaste.